Hello, everyone. This is Jonas and I am the proprietor of Tezos community. And what you're seeing here today is my first attempt at starting a YouTube channel slash collection of videos where my goal is to find interesting people and projects that are happening in the Tezos ecosystem and get those folks to tell us about what they're working on. And the first person that victim perhaps that is offered to participate in this is Mike Monohan, who has been following Tezos along with the rest of us here since the early days, and is building out a service called MyCryptoDelegate, which Mike will tell us about. So Mike, welcome to podcast number 1 here.
Great, thank you very much for having me. It's great to be here.
Awesome. Great. So, this will be an informal discussion here as we figure out what's going on in the world of Tezos. I think the format that I'd like to take is to spend a little bit of time learning about your background and what your services that you're building. Tell us, and then we'll dig into some more general questions about the Tezos world and blockchain and some opinions on things like that. So why don't we start off and just give us a little bit about your background, how you became interested in the chain.
Okay. Well, I was born and raised in Seattle, which is where I am right now. I have my undergraduate in business and a master's degree from University of Washington, and then a executive master's from Harvard Business School. I've kind of been involved in startups since after college. But some of them were ill-fated after 9/11 and some of these, other economic downturns, the dot-com bubble. So I spent the next 13 years at Microsoft. Ultimately, I was the CFO of a division overseas for Microsoft for about 6 years. I was in Amsterdam as a CFO of a division there for 3 years, and then Dubai, where I was a CFO for a division there for another 3 years. Came back to Seattle about 18 months ago to work on kind of entrepreneurial ventures. And one of those that always interested me was blockchain technology. So I first started really doing research about blockchain essentially when Bitcoin started getting mainstreamed, probably about fall of 2013 was when I bought my first small little handful of Bitcoins and had no idea what to do with them. And for me, it was just an interesting technology that had to do with money. Once Ethereum came along, it really showed that there's an added layer of technology that can go on top of it, that could really make the digital currency, which was already relatively intelligent with Bitcoin, but make it very intelligent with Ethereum. But even Ethereum has some limitations, even though it's very much blockchain 2.0. And so I started thinking to myself, well, if Ethereum is blockchain 2.0, and Bitcoin obviously being blockchain 1.0, what is blockchain 3.0? What is the next generation of where blockchain is going? And there are some outside answers like that. There's interesting technologies like Ripple, and there's now Neo, which used to be I think AntShare, things like that. But I started to come across this thing called Tezos in a white paper that was published online that if you've ever read it, it's a very interesting read, but it also gets very technical. I'm fundamentally a finance person. But from what I could tell, the technology looked very interesting. It looked like it was really trying to address a real problem and trying to solve a real issue. A lot of the altcoins, the non-Ethereums and non-Bitcoins of the world, it seems like they're not really trying to solve a real problem. Or if they are, then I'm not sure I even know how they're solving that problem. With Tezos, they really are looking into trying to make this technology you could say future-proof. They're trying as much as possible to make it so technology is easily updated. There's a whole new governance mechanism that is something that they're launching right off the bat called a proof of stake, which we can get into a little bit later. Something that Ethereum really wants to get into, but they're even having a hard time because they launched, like Bitcoin, with proof of work. But ultimately, I really just enjoyed reading about the technology and the founder's vision for taking this into a whole new direction and a whole new space. It was really interesting times.
Awesome. Yeah, I think many of us came to Tezos in a similar fashion, trying to figure out what's the next important blockchain that builds on the shoulders of the first two, and the white paper as well. That's great. And so fast forward now to 2017, we've got a fundraiser that happened. We've got developers hard at work in bringing the chain to life. What did you decide to do? What is MyCryptoDelegate, and why is that going to be important to people to know about?
Yeah, so MyCryptoDelegate is a way of trying to solve a problem that a lot of people who own Tezos, who now have a new right and a new ability to, apologies, people who own Tezos have a new ability that they don't have under proof of work, which is that they can actually essentially mine their own stake. So that's to say that if you own a wallet full of Tezos, you can get called upon on the system to periodically create new Tezos that you can put in your wallet. Now, this only happens, though, if you actually run your own server node, and that server node validates these new blocks on the blockchain using a hardware wallet. And it just seems that a lot of people aren't going to be either technically savvy enough or just want to spend the time hosting their own hardware node. And some of these nodes can be in the cloud, some of them can actually be physical servers. But what Tezos does is that they predicted this problem. They predicted that people will still want to see their Tezos share increase, even if they don't host their own node. So they allowed for delegation. So delegation means that you can actually delegate your authority to create new Tezos based on your wallet, and delegate that to somebody else who will host a node on your behalf. And they will grow your share on your behalf. They will create new tokens on your behalf, and then the two will share in that benefit, and everybody will end up better off for it. So that's what MyCryptoDelegate does, is that we are actually putting together a service that people can securely store, if they choose to, their Tezos in our hardware wallets. If they choose not to, and they choose to hold on to their Tezos in their own wallets, they can delegate the authority of creating new tokens. They can delegate that authority to us, and we will go through the hardware process of hosting a node on their behalf. We will also do things like educate them on voting for new protocols. So proof of stake is different from proof of work, which is what Ethereum and Bitcoin do, where a bunch of hardware miners who have huge, vast resources to generate a huge amount of hashing power, they essentially vote on where the new technology will go, whether they will implement new protocol updates, new governance, things like that. People who actually own Bitcoin and Ethereum don't have any say as to where the technology goes. Tezos, on the other hand, puts that power into the hands of the people who actually own Tezos tokens. But to be able to do that, you have to be able to host your node and vote based on the number of Tezos that you have in your wallet. We provide that service as well. We will help you vote and get your voice out there that you deserve to be able to guide where Tezos goes in the future through various different updates.
For a lot of people who are kind of new to crypto and certainly new to Tezos, what does voting mean, and why would I be asked to vote for anything at all?
Sure. The great thing about Tezos is that it updates itself very well. Bitcoin is really terrible at updating itself. It's very slow moving. Just like any technology, you need updates. Your computer updates itself automatically. If you look in the background, you see many updates that just automatically get pushed. But that's not how it used to be. Updates in Bitcoin are very tough to do because all of the people, largely in China, who have huge warehouses full of processors, and some in the US, some in Russia, just based on their processing power, they vote on whether or not they want to implement new software upgrades and new governance rules. And when they don't agree, we see things like hard forks, which is what just happened with Bitcoin. A bunch of people, they basically couldn't agree, and they ended up splitting the network into two. People over here who wanted the old system and people over here who wanted the new system. With Tezos, the process is much more efficient. It's much more democratic. And it also puts the power in the hands of people who actually own Tezos and have a more personal stake in why they would want the system to improve. They actually own the Tezos. They want the system to succeed. They want new technology to be implemented. They are personally vested in the success of the platform because through their ownership. So it's a much better process. It's in my opinion. And then through the underlying technology, once they actually do decide to implement new technology, it's a much faster process to actually slide new technology modules into the Tezos platform without a huge amount of effort.
Cool. So the ownership of Tezos really, you have. It sounds like you have potentially two responsibilities. One is to stake in a way that allows your Tezos to represent processing power for solving, smart contracts, for example, right? And as a result of that, you are getting you're essentially creating new Tezos or Tezis, whatever.
Yeah, new blocks on the blockchain.
New blocks
in the form of Tezos tokens, right?
And then you're going to be rewarded with those. And then additionally, you're also going to be asked on occasion to vote on how the underlying infrastructure for the blockchain works.
Right, exactly. And we want to make sure that everybody, no matter the size of your wallet, no matter your willingness to host your own node, everybody deserves the right to grow their stake proportionally to the size of their wallet, and everybody has the right to vote again based on the proportional size of your wallet. And we want to give people that those two mechanisms in a very seamless, easy way.
Awesome. So, what is the state of your service right now? I guess also, what do we believe the state to be of the Tezos infrastructure in general? When do you think it'll launch? When will your service launch? How much will it cost? What kind of return will people expect?
Yeah, well, we expect to launch basically at the same time that the Tezos platform launches. When that is, we've heard plus or minus 3-4 months, maybe it goes into 5 months. They'll announce that soon. Well, they'll probably announce it as time goes on. I know that there's a tremendous amount of effort and work being done to develop this platform. So I have full faith that they are working very, very hard. As for us, we currently have our website up that just is basically explaining the service and collecting pre-registration. We are working in the background to actually create the login, the secure login, the interface, the ability for people to interact with the service and actually delegate authority to us once the system launches. So that's in development right now. Anyone who wants in, I'll just
on delegating authority. Do I have to give you my private keys at any point in time in this process?
No. The key is that, so one thing you should never do, never ever, no matter what, to anybody on this planet, never give your private key to anyone. That is yours to hold and yours to hold alone. There's no exceptions. There will be a very easy public system of delegating authority from one person to another. And the details haven't been laid out yet, but we'll essentially have either a code or some sort of a name that identifies us as a delegate. And in your system on your end, you would just put us into that box, our code, as your delegate, and it would automatically give us delegation authority. If anyone ever asks you for your private key, that's a problem. That's something for your eyes only. When it comes to our service and how much people can expect, I've heard that the inflation rate will be set anywhere between 3 to 10%, and the 5% number has been tossed around a lot as the nominal inflation rate. What I think will happen is that the inflation rate will change based on the number of nodes on the network. So if they determine that there are not enough nodes out there to cover the bandwidth, they'll probably increase the inflation to give people more incentive to host nodes. And then just like us, we would scale up hosting more and more nodes to compensate. So even if inflation rates rise, we would host more nodes, and therefore people would still gain more benefit.
Fascinating. There's going to be lots of interesting mechanisms that we're going to have to learn about as the chain comes into existence here.
Yeah, sure.
But how is MyCryptoDelegate going to make money in this process?
Sure. So as of right now, we're not. I guess you could say we're not really making money. We have a full faith in the Tezos ecosystem. So we don't have any intentions anytime soon of selling any of our tokens that are generated, because we think that there's a long play in this, that this has true long-term value. When it comes to how we generate tokens for ourselves, is that we share in the benefit of anytime somebody delegates authority, we share in that benefit of creating new tokens. We create on your behalf, and then in some way we share that benefit. Now, there will be systems that pop up out there that are donation-based delegators or free delegators. There will be plenty of services like that. I tend to personally like services that are full service, that are paid services, or in some way not free, because my personal finances, I want to be controlled by someone who has a vested stake in my success. It's kind of like couch surfing versus Airbnb. You just get better service, and you can have more reliability and trust on someone who you know is financially stable and vested in your happiness, your success, and your well-being. The exact numbers, we honestly aren't quite sure yet. It's going to be really dependent on the percent inflation that the system sets. But our goal is to be as fair and equitable as possible with our clients.
Cool. Now we saw that there were something like 763 million tokens that are being recommended to be created through the foundation fundraiser. If you hold a percentage of those, you probably want to go do a service like this. You probably want to stake, because you want to be able to get, maintain your share or grow it through the inflation mechanisms. But there's also going to be some people who are not going to stake for reasons because maybe they want to use their tokens to buy things, or they are traders, right?
Yep.
So not everybody's going to take advantage of this, but it seems to me like it is a very interesting mechanism to potentially keep a significant percentage of the tokens locked up over the long term.
Yeah, I mean, think about it like your checking versus savings account. Back in the day, you used to actually get real interest on your savings account. Nowadays, it's like 0.5%. But the concept is that by putting it in two places, your checking account, where you're going to be trading, you're going to be purchasing things, it's going to be in and out often. You may want to store your Tezos in your personal wallet for that purpose. If you want to delegate the remaining portions that you don't have any intentions of trading or selling anytime soon, then you might as well put them in a location that can actually grow and take advantage of the inflation. As opposed to inflation slowly chipping away at you, you can actually have inflation slowly increasing your ownership.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This is a really interesting new market dynamic for people who are, buy and hold crypto people.
Yeah,
they're gonna see a new kind of return on their token beyond just the price changes that are happening through the trading markets.
Because right now, the only people who are seeing any new coin or token benefit are crypto miners, the people who have millions of dollars in GPU processors and can somehow find cheap electricity. They're the ones who are seeing the benefit in platforms like Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Yeah, cool. Power to the people.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why this is a great platform. And I think that's why it has lasting value, is because it fundamentally shifts both in proof of work to proof of stake. And it also gives the power to the people who really should have it, which are the owners of the platform itself. I read a statistic that said that all of the proof of work in the world by 2020 will consume as much power as the country of Denmark. So just generating all of the proof of work tokens, the Ethereums, if they can't figure out how to flip over to proof of stake, all of the Bitcoin processing will literally overtake the power of Denmark in just a few years. So there's a real benefit to starting off the platform with proof of stake, which is exponentially less processor and energy intensive and much more democratic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we're the Green Party among everything else.
Yeah, I would say so. And I think that the fact that Ethereum has been desperately trying to switch over to proof of stake for a while now, they've got their Casper update that they just haven't been able to do because it's very, very difficult to switch from an old system to a new system. They have a huge ecosystem of miners who have zero incentive to give up their ability to mine new Ethereum. So Tezos starting off with proof of stake doesn't have to deal with this problem. That's why I think it's one of the waves of the future for blockchain technology.
Awesome. All right, so I got one last question for you here.
Sure.
You are my first guest, but
Yep.
My intent is to try and get every guest to make a prediction, which is what they think the price of one Tez is going to be on January 1st, 2020. Okay. So want to throw out a number there? What do you think XTZ one coin is going to cost me on January 1?
Let's see here. So I think that they'll launch about the new year, probably. So that's 2 years of growth. I'm a relatively conservative guy. I like slow and steady growth. I like safety. I like that. I'm going to say, I think about $15, to be honest with you. I think that would put the value at that point just under $15 billion. I expect Ethereum and Bitcoin to also increase. But I do think in 4 years, that's when the real value, because that's when the ecosystem is really going to take off. People are really going to start implementing it into their businesses. They're going to start developing on it. The first year, 18 months, 2 years is going to be a learning exercise, just like Ethereum. They had their growing pains. So I would say 15, and then literally skyrocketing after that in the coming 2 years, 18 months after that. So
awesome. All right, so we got you down for $15.
I would say 15. Yeah.
Very good. We don't have a smart contract to wager on this yet, but maybe between now and 2020, we'll put one in place.
Sure.
All right,
listen,
Mike. Thanks a lot for joining me here on the first video here, and looking forward to seeing how your project emerges, as well as all the other cool things that we're doing here in the Tezos community. So thanks again.
Well, thank you, and I really want to thank you for all the hard work that you've put into in the tezos.community website, but also you putting together the very first official post ICO meetup down in San Francisco. It was a lot of fun. I flew down there from Seattle, and there's some great people. You did a great job. Arthur and Kathleen are really good people, and I think they're doing a fantastic job on creating something brand new that will really do great things. And so thank you for putting that together.
Totally. It was great to meet you in person, along with about 50 other Tezos Tezoians. I don't know.
I'm not quite sure what the official term is. I think it'll just come organically at some point.
Yeah, we'll see something emerge. And as Mike mentioned, everybody listening to the video, check us out at online at tezos.community. Yes, that's a web address that you can go to. We've got a very rapidly growing, interesting discussion forum there. On Twitter, we are at Tezos Community as well. Mike, any contact points you want to leave for folks? How can they get in touch with you, and do you need any help on anything right now?
First off, just go to our website, MyCryptoDelegate.com, and just put your email in for pre-registration, and we'll keep in touch. Right now, the official email until I set up my own is just contact@MyCryptoDelegate. And then, anyone who has any ideas can definitely contact me, and we'll chat. If anyone's on the Riot Matrix chat, we can definitely. I'm on there too. I'm pretty easy to find. I'm also on your site, Tezos.community. I'm on there as well.
Awesome. All right, everybody, thanks for listening. We'll try and do this weekly. If you have suggestions on interesting people in the Tezos ecosystem that should be interviewed on this channel, hit me up on Twitter at Tezos Community, and we'll get them lined up. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you all soon. Bye.
Thanks a lot. Have a great day.